Eli stood at the edge of the vast auction hall, his hands resting lightly on the railing of his old ship. The hall was enormous, stretching hundreds of meters across, filled with every kind of vessel imaginable. Sleek alien cruisers gleamed under the lights. Massive cargo ships hummed quietly, their engines throbbing even when idle. Ships with shapes like insects, birds, or unknown creatures filled the upper galleries. And then there was his ship. It looked simple, angular and plain. The metal was scratched in places, and the paint was faded from countless trips through asteroid fields. It had no exotic curves, no glowing energy lines, no ornaments to attract attention. To the eyes of the rich bidders and alien spectators, it looked like a relic from an earlier age. A ship almost forgotten. Eli's lips curved into a calm smile. Let them laugh. They didn't know what they were looking at. He had built this ship himself, piece by piece, using a mix of old human designs and his own inventions. To most it looked ordinary, but beneath the surface it was extraordinary. Its engines were faster than anything in its class. Its shields could adapt to energy attacks in ways aliens didn't understand, and its modular design allowed him to make changes in seconds. No other bidder's ship had that. The auction bell rang, echoing through the massive hall. The crowd stirred. Alien bidders, tall, short, tentacled, armored, or feathered, drifted forward to inspect the ships. Their eyes flicked over Eli's ship. Then, almost simultaneously, many of them chuckled. "Is that a museum piece?" a trader with 3 eyes asked, voice full of amusement. "Why would anyone bring such a ship to an auction?" A few other bidders laughed, showing off their shiny teeth, claws, or metallic grins. Some even whispered to each other, pointing at Eli's ship as if it were a joke. Eli did not respond. He adjusted his jacket, a simple gray human suit, and leaned slightly on the railing. His calmness irritated some of the aliens. They were used to fear, to people begging for mercy or at least defending themselves. Eli did neither. A smaller, curious bidder floated closer, hovering above the ground with subtle anti-gravity pods. "Why this ship?" the alien asked, its voice almost melodic. "It seems weak." Eli smiled politely. "It's simple, but it works. That's all you need sometimes." The alien blinked, uncertain. It had expected a proud speech full of flashy words, not a simple answer. Shrugging, it drifted away. The auction began in earnest. The auctioneer, a tall metallic alien with 4 arms, gestured dramatically at each ship. "Lot 104, the vessel of human origin." It paused, letting the laughter in the hall swell. "Observe a ship from the outer rim, humble in appearance, yet who knows what secrets it may hold." Laughter erupted again. Some bidders clapped mockingly. A few shouted insults. "That ship belongs in a museum." "Are we buying a ship or a junkyard?" "Did your mother build this for you?" Eli ignored them. He had been laughed at before, and he knew that laughter often came before respect. He looked at his ship with quiet pride. Every dent, every scratch, every line was the result of countless hours of work and thought. Every bolt was placed with care. This ship was not just metal and engines, it was human ingenuity. As the bidding started, aliens raised their holographic paddles and shouted enormous numbers. Hundreds of thousands of credits, millions, tens of millions. Eli did not raise a paddle. He did not shout. He waited. One of the wealthiest bidders, a towering alien covered in dark scales, stepped forward. Its ship gleamed with blue energy lines and polished metal. "I bid 10 million, it said, voice booming. "This human relic is worth nothing compared to my cruiser." Another alien, smaller and faster, waved its arms and added 5 million more. The hall echoed with excitement. Aliens trying to outbid each other just for the thrill. They thought the human ship would be gone in moments, sold for a few curious credits, a footnote in the auction. Eli waited calmly. Then he pressed a small button on his wrist console. The ship hummed softly. No one noticed at first, its appearance had not changed, but the subtle hum of the engine was different from anything in the hall. It was precise, almost musical. The sound made the smallest lights on the ship flicker in rhythm. A few aliens paused, curious. They leaned closer, sensing something unusual. One of the older bidders whispered to a companion, "Did you hear that?" "It's different," Eli ignored them. He did not need applause. The ship would speak for itself soon enough. Then the auctioneer called for the first test. In certain auctions, especially those for ships, the council allowed short demonstrations to show speed, maneuverability, and defense. Eli nodded, waiting for the others to go first. Alien bidders took their ships into the test lanes. showing off laser turrets, thrusters, and flashy cloaking systems. The crowd cheered and laughed at impressive explosions, dramatic spins, and energy bursts. When Eli's turn came, laughter filled the hall again. "Watch the human relic try to compete," someone shouted. Eli pressed a few buttons. The ship lifted from the ground, smooth and silent. It moved not in flashy loops but in perfect arcs, dodging obstacles with subtle precision. It did not need loud engines or flashing lights. Every movement was calculated. Every turn was sharp yet elegant. Some aliens frowned. "That speed? It shouldn't be possible," whispered one. Another tilted its head, studying the movement. "How is it adjusting so quickly?" Eli smiled slightly. He was showing only a fraction of the ship's power. A few modifications, small tricks in the engine and control systems allowed him to maneuver in ways other bidders could not. The ship was light, strong, and reactive. Aliens had relied on brute power and large energy cores. Humans relied on adaptability, clever designs, and intelligence. The demonstration ended. The ship hovered, engines silent. Silence fell over the hall. Not all laughter had stopped, but doubt had begun to creep into some faces. A few aliens whispered to each other, clearly impressed. One alien bidder, a small and timid creature, floated closer. How did it do that?" it asked, eyes wide. Eli smiled. "It's just a human ship. We like to solve problems our own way." The auction continued, but now the atmosphere was different. Where there had been mockery, there was curiosity. Where there had been laughter, there was attention. Aliens who had ignored him before now leaned forward, observing every movement, every feature. Eli watched quietly, noticing the change. He had expected mockery. He had not expected respect yet. But he also knew that true recognition would come not from words but from results. When the full power of his ship became clear, he would turn this laughter into amazement, doubt into admiration. For now, he remained calm. The human ship might have looked ordinary, but in a few moments it would show why humans had survived and thrived in a galaxy that often underestimated them. And those who laughed first would soon remember the lesson. Never underestimate a human. As the auction progressed, Eli's mind raced with small plans and modifications. He would need a flawless demonstration, clever maneuvers, and some improvisation to truly impress the alien council. But he felt ready. The ship was ready. Humanity was ready. And deep down Eli knew that this was only the beginning. After the auction hall settled from the first round of demonstrations, a ripple of whispers traveled across the spectators. Some aliens still snickered at Eli's ship, calling it a relic unfit for serious competition. But a few faces betrayed curiosity. They had seen the ship move differently, faster, smoother, almost as if it thought on its own. Eli didn't smile. He knew the real work was just beginning. A simple demonstration had not revealed the ship's full potential. The true design, the brilliance of human ingenuity, would come alive only when he allowed it. He led the ship out of the hall into a small testing yard attached to the auction complex. It was a contained space just large enough for practical trials and equipped with holographic projectors, simulation drones, and obstacle courses. "Are you really going to show more?" one alien bidder asked, hovering nearby. Its 3 eyes blinked suspiciously. "We already know your ship is weak. This is a waste of time." Eli glanced at the alien, then at the ship. "You'll see soon enough," he replied, his voice calm but firm. He climbed into the cockpit, settling into the seat like it was an extension of his own body. Fingers danced across controls with ease. He activated the engines, but instead of the usual loud roar of alien ships, the human ship emitted a soft hum. The hum pulsed with rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. The alien snorted. "You call that a demonstration?" Eli ignored it. He pressed a series of buttons, and the ship's hull shimmered subtly. Micro-adjustments shifted the entire frame, aligning the energy flow through the engines and shields. Then he took off. The ship moved with a grace no alien vessel could match. Where others relied on powerful thrusters and sheer force to dodge obstacles, Eli's ship twisted, rolled, and slipped through the air with precise, intelligent motions. Drones launched by the auction complex tried to simulate attacks, shooting simulated energy blasts, but the ship anticipated each one, slipping through at the last possible moment. Aliens watched with growing astonishment. One bidder muttered, "It's like it can see the future." "Impossible," another replied, though his voice wavered. No ship can react that fast, but the reactions were real. Eli had designed adaptive systems that processed environmental data instantly, adjusting engines, shields, and weapons in fractions of a second. It was not magic, it was human engineering, clever, practical, and elegant. The demonstration continued. Eli activated the shield system, showing that it could absorb and redirect energy attacks with minimal strain. A holographic asteroid field appeared, simulating one of the most dangerous regions of known space. While alien ships struggled to avoid collisions, Eli's ship slipped through effortlessly, changing course with tiny bursts of power that no alien system could replicate. One of the wealthiest bidders, a towering figure covered in golden armor, leaned closer. "What is this human doing? No ship should move like that." Eli smiled faintly. "I'm just showing the ship's capabilities. There's more to see." He pressed another sequence. Panels on the ship opened, and small modules extended from the hull. They shifted the weight distribution, allowing the vessel to pivot sharply, almost spinning on its axis while maintaining forward momentum. A simulation missile approached at high speed. The ship twisted, the missile narrowly missing its hull, then reverse thrust to move behind the projectile. It was an impossible maneuver by alien standards. The hall erupted in whispers and murmurs. Even some of the harshest critics were speechless. This is genius, one admitted. Eli wasn't done. He activated a stealth module and the ship shimmered almost into invisibility. It moved across the yard, passing between drones, obstacles, and projected hazards without being detected by their sensors. A quick flick of a control brought it back into view, perfectly positioned in front of the auction panel. One of the alien bidders, a tall, feathered creature with sharp beak-like features, whispered, "How can one ship do all this?" Eli leaned back slightly. "Humans think differently. We don't just build power. We build solutions." A smaller bidder, one that had laughed the loudest in the hall, floated closer. Its voice trembled. "Can it fight?" Eli didn't answer immediately. He activated a small test drone equipped with a weak energy cannon. The drone fired and Eli's ship responded. Tiny modules on the hull split, redirecting energy back to the drone, shutting it down. Another drone approached from above, faster this time. The ship's shields adapted instantly, absorbing the attack and converting the energy into a minor boost for the engines. The drones were overwhelmed, unable to anticipate the adaptive responses of the ship. The spectators leaned forward, silent. Some had to look away, disbelief written across their faces. Alien engineers whispered to each other, trying to understand the human technology, but it was beyond them. The auctioneer, who had initially treated Eli with mild amusement, stepped closer. "Remarkable," it said, voice quieter now. "Remarkable for a human ship." Eli nodded, pressing a few more buttons. The ship performed a series of complex maneuvers, twisting through invisible corridors of energy beams, narrowly avoiding simulated collisions. Every movement was precise, smooth, and controlled. Where alien ships relied on brute force and large energy reserves, Eli's human ship relied on adaptability, intelligence, and efficiency. Some bidders, who had mocked the ship only moments ago, now whispered among themselves, voices full of awe. "We underestimated the human," one said. "Completely underestimated." Eli finally brought the ship to a smooth stop. The hum of the engines faded. Silence filled the yard. For the first time, laughter had vanished. Every eye was on him, measuring, questioning, and realizing that they had misjudged not just the ship, but its human creator. The golden-armored bidder approached cautiously. "You've done..." "Well," it said slowly, eyes narrowed. "But demonstrations are one thing. The galaxy is full of clever tricks. How will your ship perform in real challenges?" Eli smiled faintly. "That's exactly what I intend to show. Tricks are temporary. Solutions last," the alien nodded, intrigued. "You have my attention, human. And it seems others as well." A few of the other bidders were now discussing quietly, pointing at the ship. One whispered, "We laughed too soon." Too soon. Eli knew that this was only the beginning. The ship's full potential had not yet been revealed. He had held back a fraction of its capabilities for strategic reasons. The next stages, speed trials, adaptive combat, and final obstacle courses, would push the human ship into legend. As the auction prepared for the next round, Eli reflected quietly. Humans had always survived by thinking differently, by solving problems in ways no one else expected. The galaxy assumed humans were weak, primitive, or simple. Time and again, That assumption had been wrong. And now, in this hall, among the richest and most powerful bidders, another lesson would be written. The auction bell rang again. Aliens returned to their positions. Energy barriers rose, marking the start of the next trial. Holographic asteroids, simulation drones, and complex challenges filled the yard. All eyes turned toward Eli and his ship. Some looked skeptical, some curious, and some secretly a little fearful. Eli climbed into the cockpit, fingers ready on the controls. He had tested, adjusted, and perfected every system. This was not just a demonstration, it was a declaration. The human ship would prove itself, and with each maneuver, each calculated move, each clever adaptation, the galaxy would start to take notice. The hidden power of human ingenuity was about to be unveiled, and no one would forget it. The next round of the auction began with a flourish. The hall transformed into a testing arena unlike any seen before. Energy barriers rose, forming complex corridors. Holographic asteroid fields spun in mid-air, and simulation drones hovered in patterns designed to test every skill a ship could possess. This round was not about speed alone. It was about agility, intelligence, and adaptability. Eli watched quietly from the cockpit. Around him, alien bidders readied their ships, engines glowing, shields shimmering. Many of these ships were massive, bristling with weapons covered in energy lines, and armed to dominate any obstacle. A few of them still looked at Eli's simple human ship with contempt. "Look at that," one scoffed. "Its feathers bristled. It will be shredded in moments. That is not a competition vessel. It is a toy." Eli adjusted his seat, fingers resting lightly on the controls. "We'll see," he murmured, his voice calm. The auctioneer signaled the start. One by one, the alien ships launched into the course, moving fast but rigidly. They relied on brute strength, shields, and pre-programmed navigation. Some crashed into holographic asteroids or collided with simulation drones, sending energy sparks flying. Spectators gasped or laughed, depending on their perspective. Then it was Eli's turn. He pressed a few buttons, and the ship lifted off with a quiet hum. Its engines did not roar like the alien ships, but the subtle pulse carried immense power. Where alien vessels struggled to turn in time, Eli's ship twisted and bent around obstacles like liquid metal, predicting paths and adjusting instantly. The first holographic asteroid approached. Eli's ship dove between two massive projections, its shields flickering softly as they absorbed minor energy bursts. The crowd gasped. "Impossible," muttered one alien engineer, leaning forward to watch. The next obstacle was a moving energy wall, spinning and shifting unpredictably. Human intuition and design allowed Eli's ship to twist midair, using tiny engine bursts to reverse momentum without losing speed. Alien ships, bulky and rigid, struggled. A few collided, bouncing off the barriers with sparks flying. Eli's ship slipped through, smooth and elegant. A simulation drone shot a high-speed projectile. Eli tapped a sequence on the console. Tiny modules on the hull split and rotated, redirecting the projectile harmlessly into the arena. Another drone fired from above. The adaptive shields absorbed the blast, converted it into energy for the engines, and the ship rolled past at a fraction of the previous speed. The alien audience whispered in disbelief. The laughter from earlier had vanished. Some bidders leaned closer, eyes wide. "This human ship, it reacts to everything," one said. "No ship should move like that," Eli focused. He didn't need applause. Every movement was precise, every decision calculated. His ship was not just responding to the course, it was solving it. The most difficult part was a simulated plasma storm. Holographic lightning arcs flashed unpredictably, and strong energy currents pushed ships off course. Alien vessels struggled. Some lost control entirely, spinning helplessly. Eli's ship, however, glided smoothly. Using adaptive stabilizers, micro-thrusters, and careful weight shifts, it rode the currents without losing speed. The ship even used the plasma arcs to gain brief speed boosts, moving faster than any alien ship could. One of the top bidders, a towering creature with 4 glowing eyes, clenched its claws. "How is it doing that?" "It should be destroyed." Eli didn't answer. Words were useless here. Results spoke louder. The final obstacle was a narrow corridor filled with moving energy barriers, drones, and a holographic asteroid field. Alien ships approached aggressively, attempting to plow through with shields and raw speed. Some managed to pass, but at the cost of damage. Their hulls scratched, Shields flickered and engines overheated. Eli's ship approached last. He activated a combination of maneuvers, twisting, pivoting, and subtly shifting the ship's form. Modules extended briefly, adding temporary shields and weak points. His fingers danced across the controls, tapping a sequence that adjusted the ship's balance in milliseconds. A drone fired directly at the hull. The ship spun, deflecting the attack while using a micro-thruster burst to position itself perfectly between two spinning barriers. A holographic asteroid moved into its path. Eli tilted the ship, letting it slip along a small gap between projections, shield and hull brushing the edges but unharmed. The crowd was silent. Spectators leaned forward, trying to process what they were seeing. Aliens who had mocked the ship only hours ago now whispered urgently among themselves. It can adapt in real time, one said. No ship should do that. The golden-armored bidder's eyes widened. I've underestimated the human. I've truly underestimated them. Eli guided the ship through the final section, weaving between obstacles with a grace that seemed almost impossible. He pushed the engines to a careful limit, activating hidden modules that boosted maneuverability and energy distribution. As the ship crossed the finish line, it did so smoothly, without a single collision, shield flicker, or misstep. Silence filled the arena. The alien audience was stunned. Whispers spread, "It's incredible. A human ship doing things no ship should do." The auctioneer's voice echoed almost hesitantly. Lot 104, the human ship, has completed the challenge, without a single error. Remarkable. Some bidders clapped slowly, others floated in awe, unable to find words. Aliens who had laughed earlier looked embarrassed, some turning away to hide their shame. Eli remained calm, letting the silence speak. One of the most skeptical bidders, a small, fast creature with metallic skin, floated forward. How did you do that?" it asked. "No ship should adapt so quickly. No ship should survive that course." Eli leaned back in his seat. "It's not about strength," he said. "It's about adaptability. We humans find solutions. We don't just rely on power." The small bidder's eyes widened. You're telling the truth. This ship, it's unlike anything we've seen." Across the hall, murmurs spread. News traveled fast in auction halls, especially when a rare human outperformed everyone. Eli noticed some of the wealthiest bidders exchanging glances, now reconsidering their previous mockery. The final test for the round was announced, a head-to-head challenge. Top bidders would compete directly in speed, agility, and obstacle navigation. Eli's calm confidence remained. He had studied every system of his ship. He knew the limitations of the others, and he knew the advantage humans had: clever thinking, quick adaptation, and ingenuity. The other ships launched first, maneuvering aggressively, trying to block paths, force collisions, or disrupt movement. Some were fast but rigid, some relied on raw power. Eli waited, observing their errors, then pushed the engines forward. His ship moved like water, slipping through gaps that seemed impossible. Where aliens tried to predict and block, the ship reacted, calculated, and avoided. Modules shifted subtly. Shields absorbed attacks while converting energy to engine bursts. Holographic obstacles were no longer a threat. They became part of the ship's path. The alien audience erupted in disbelief. "The human ship is untouchable," one exclaimed. "It's like it's alive." By the end of the head-to-head challenge, Eli's ship crossed the finish line first. The other ships, despite their size, power, and technology, had failed to match the precision, adaptability, and intelligence of the human vessel. Silence fell again, heavier this time. Alien bidders stared, mouths open, claws trembling, feathers bristling, metallic hands shaking. Even the auctioneer hesitated. It is a human ship, and it has won," it finally said. Eli stepped back from the cockpit, calm as ever. He did not boast. He did not gloat. The ship had spoken for him. The lesson was clear. The galaxy had underestimated humans, and that mistake would not be forgotten. The whispers grew louder. A legend. A human ship. Unbelievable. Aliens who had mocked him now looked on with respect, even fear. The human had turned mockery into triumph. The laughter that had greeted him hours ago had disappeared, replaced by awe. Eli's eyes swept across the hall. He knew this was only the beginning. This was not just a victory for him or even for the ship. It was a demonstration of what humans could do when underestimated, mocked, or ignored, and the galaxy, for all its power and technology, was only just beginning to notice. The final round of the auction had begun. The atmosphere in the hall was electric, thick with anticipation. Every alien bidder had prepared their finest ships, equipped with advanced engines, massive energy shields, and weapons that could devastate entire asteroid fields. Some floated in anxious clusters, exchanging strategies and trying to intimidate each other. And in the middle of it all, Eli sat quietly in his ship. To the casual eye, his vessel still looked small, simple, and unremarkable. But those who had seen it in the previous rounds knew better. The human ship had already proven itself, moving with intelligence, precision, and adaptability far beyond what alien technology could match. The auctioneer's voice rang out. Final challenge. The top vessels will face each other in direct competition. Speed, agility, intelligence, and adaptation will be tested. The winner will be declared the champion of this auction. Let the trial begin. Aliens cheered, engines hummed, and the holographic test course reconfigured itself. This time it was more dangerous, more complex. Moving energy barriers, shifting asteroid fields, and unpredictable plasma storms covered every inch. Each ship would have to navigate the obstacles while attempting to outmaneuver the others. The top alien bidder, a massive creature with 4 glowing eyes and a ship that gleamed like molten metal, approached the starting line. It sneered at Eli's ship. "Human," it said, its voice deep and intimidating. "You have survived until now by luck. This ends here. Your ship is no match for mine." Eli looked at the alien, calm as ever. "Luck doesn't win battles," he replied softly. "Thinking, solving, adapting, those do." The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. The ships launched simultaneously. The alien ship shot forward like a meteor, engines blazing, shields flaring. It tried to dominate the course, pushing through obstacles with brute force, hoping to intimidate or destroy any competitor. Other bidders' ships flanked it, attempting to block paths and create chaos. Eli's ship moved differently. Instead of raw speed, it flowed through the course, adapting with every twist and turn. Tiny adjustments, minute engine bursts, adaptive shields all worked in harmony. Where alien ships collided with energy barriers, Eli slipped through effortlessly. Where drones fired projectiles, his ship anticipated, deflected, and redirected them. The first obstacle was a narrow corridor filled with rotating energy blades. The alien ship tried to push through aggressively, shielding itself and moving in a straight path. Sparks flew as the shields absorbed minor hits, but the ship's momentum slowed as it adjusted to the unexpected rotations. Eli's ship, however, twisted and pivoted, slipping through gaps too small for the alien to pass without damage. Its shields flared softly, not just absorbing energy but converting it into propulsion. The ship seemed almost alive, moving intelligently, not reacting blindly. The spectators gasped. "It's thinking," one exclaimed. "The human ship is alive!" The alien with 4 eyes growled. "Impossible. No ship can adapt that fast." But Eli's calm eyes focused on the course ahead. He had prepared for this. The alien had strength, but he had intelligence. The alien relied on predictable patterns, brute power, and overconfidence. Eli relied on adaptability, observation, and clever engineering. Next came the plasma storm. Lightning flashed unpredictably. Energy currents surged, and holographic debris spun in chaotic patterns. Most ships struggled, their shields flickering, engines straining. The alien ship pushed forward recklessly, attempting to bulldoze through. Eli's ship weaved through the storm with grace. Using adaptive stabilizers and microthrusters, it rode the energy currents instead of fighting them. Each movement was calculated, efficient, and precise. A lightning arc that should have hit the ship barely grazed its edge, absorbed and redirected harmlessly. The alien bidder's ship faltered. Its momentum faltered slightly. Shields flickered more than usual. It tried to recover, but Eli's ship was already far ahead, weaving through obstacles that seemed impossible to navigate. Then came the final challenge. A collapsing corridor filled with rotating asteroids, drones, and energy barriers. The alien ship charged aggressively, attempting to force its way through. Collisions were inevitable, sparks flew, and a minor hull breach appeared. Eli pressed a few buttons. Small modules extended from the ship's hull, shifting its center of gravity. Tiny shields activated in precise locations. Adaptive thrusters fired in short, rapid bursts, pivoting the ship mid-air. One asteroid moved into its path. It slipped between 2 obstacles, brushing the edge without damage. A drone fired from above, but the ship's shields absorbed the shot and redirected it into a harmless trajectory. The crowd erupted. It's unstoppable. How is it doing that? A human ship winning against the strongest bidders. The alien with 4 eyes clenched its claws. No, no, it roared. This is impossible. Eli didn't gloat. He simply guided the ship through the remaining obstacles, smooth and precise. The modules shifted subtly, shields absorbed energy, and engines provided perfect bursts for optimal maneuvering. Every challenge was met, every obstacle overcome, and every rival outmaneuvered. As the finish line approached, the alien ship tried one final aggressive move. It fired a powerful energy blast at Eli's path, hoping to disrupt him at the last moment. Eli tapped a few controls and the ship's hull split slightly, redirecting the energy blast into empty space. He then used the sudden boost to move past the alien, crossing the finish line first. The hull fell silent. Then slowly the murmurs began. Alien bidders whispered to each other, their voices filled with awe and disbelief. The human, it won, one said. We laughed at it, and it has beaten us all. The auctioneer floated forward almost reverently. Lot 104, the human ship, has triumphed. Without damage, without hesitation, without error. Remarkable, truly remarkable. Even the aliens who had mocked Eli earlier had no words. Some bowed their heads slightly in respect. Others floated near the exit, unable to process what they had witnessed. The human, small and unassuming, had turned ridicule into victory. Eli stepped out of the cockpit calm and collected. He did not shout or celebrate. The ship had done the talking. Every module, every adaptive system, every design choice had proven the human advantage. Ingenuity, intelligence, and clever thinking. The alien with 4 eyes approached slowly, eyes still blazing with disbelief. Human, you have done what no one else could. Your ship, it is unlike anything in the galaxy. I misjudged you, Eli smiled faintly. That is the mistake many make. Humans survive because we think differently. We don't always have the largest weapons, but we find solutions. The alien paused, then nodded. I will remember this lesson. Your skill, your ship, they are legendary. Other bidders whispered among themselves. We laughed too soon, one admitted. The human has turned our mockery into shame. Eli looked at the ship resting quietly on the platform. It had done more than survive. It had won respect, admiration, and perhaps even fear. The laughter that had greeted it hours ago had disappeared, replaced by awe. For Eli, this was only the beginning. The ship's full potential had been revealed, but its journey was far from over. Across the galaxy, news of this human ship would spread. Traders, engineers, and even the most powerful bidders would remember the day when a small, unremarkable human vessel outperformed the mightiest ships in the auction, and the galaxy would start to understand a simple truth. Never underestimate humans. The auction hall was silent, the energy almost tangible. Every alien bidder, engineer, and spectator had witnessed something extraordinary. Eli's ship, small, simple, unassuming, had completed every challenge flawlessly. It had navigated impossible obstacles, outmaneuvered the most advanced alien ships, and demonstrated a level of adaptability that no one thought possible. Now, with the final round over, the hall was filled with whispers. The laughter that had greeted Eli and his vessel hours ago had vanished entirely. What remained was awe, respect, and a growing understanding. Humans could not be underestimated. The auctioneer, floating above the platform with all 4 arms, gesturing dramatically, cleared its throat. Ladies, gentlemen, and esteemed bidders of the galaxy, Lot 104, the human ship, has achieved the impossible. It has surpassed every challenge, defeated every rival, and shown innovation and skill beyond imagination. Let the record show that this vessel is legendary. A ripple of murmurs spread through the hall. Aliens who had mocked him earlier now looked with admiration. Some whispered excitedly to each other, trying to understand how a simple human could outshine the mightiest bidders in the galaxy. Eli stepped out of the cockpit, calm as ever. He adjusted his jacket and scanned the crowd. His eyes were quiet, steady, and confident. He did not need to shout or boast. The ship had spoken. The lesson was clear. Humans think differently, adapt faster, and solve problems in ways no one else can predict. A few bidders approached cautiously. The golden-armored alien, still stunned, extended a massive clawed hand. Human, you have done what we could not. Your skill, your ship, your mind, they are remarkable. I apologize for underestimating you. Eli nodded politely. Apologies aren't necessary. Most never see it coming until it happens. That's human nature: adapt, survive, succeed. Another bidder, a small metallic-skinned alien, floated forward. Its voice trembled with respect. Your ship. It is beyond anything in our databases. We laughed at you, and yet you have taught us a lesson we will never forget. Eli smiled faintly. Then remember it well. The crowd continued to buzz. Media droids and reporters hovered, projecting holographic images of the human ship performing impossible maneuvers. Across the galaxy, news channels would later broadcast the story, the human ship that defied the galaxy. Videos of the demonstrations went viral among traders, engineers, and adventurers. Everyone was talking about the human who had turned a mocked relic into a legend. Some bidders approached Eli with questions. They wanted to understand his designs, to study his adaptive systems, and perhaps learn a fraction of the ingenuity that humans possessed. But Eli remained cautious. He shared insights selectively, teaching only what could be shared without compromising future innovations. He knew humans had an advantage, and advantages were rare in the galaxy. A young alien engineer, barely old enough to earn their first license, floated forward nervously. "Sir, may I ask, how did you do it?" Eli crouched slightly to meet the engineer's eyes. "We humans don't always follow the rules others expect. We observe, we adapt, and we find solutions where others see problems. The ship is a tool, but the mind, that is the true power." The engineer nodded, wide-eyed. "So, it's human ingenuity." Eli smiled. "Exactly." Meanwhile, the Alien Council, responsible for overseeing the auction, had begun discussing the implications. Humans had always been considered a minor species, underestimated across many systems. Now one human had changed perceptions in a single event. The Council realized that humans were capable of innovation and problem-solving that rivaled or even surpassed the most advanced species. The auctioneer spoke again, this time in a tone that carried genuine respect. "Lot 104, the human ship, has rewritten the standards of what a ship and its creator can achieve. May its lessons inspire all who witness them." Eli nodded, stepping closer to the ship. He ran a hand along the hull, feeling the smooth metal and the careful placement of modules. Every part of this vessel told a story of human perseverance, intelligence, and craftsmanship. Around the hull, some aliens began approaching with offers. Partnerships, collaborations, and proposals to study his ship were extended. Eli considered them, knowing that humans could always benefit from exchange without losing their unique advantage. Some offers were declined politely. Others he accepted selectively, ensuring that human innovation would remain respected and valued. As the day progressed, the hall slowly emptied. Spectators, traders, and bidders left, buzzing with stories and images. Across the galaxy, the legend of the human ship spread like wildfire. Traders in distant systems whispered about it. Young engineers studied holographic recordings of the maneuvers. Scientists analyzed the adaptive systems. Even military leaders made notes, understanding that human technology and thinking could not be ignored. Eli remained with his ship, quiet and reflective. He had not sought glory, but he had achieved it. The laughter, mockery, and disbelief had transformed into respect, recognition, and awe. A single human had proven that intelligence, creativity, and courage could surpass raw power, size, and reputation. The golden-armored alien approached again. "Human, I must admit your achievements today, they are remarkable. Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated your species far too long." Eli's eyes met the alien's. "Perhaps. But that is changing now. The galaxy will remember humans, and it will think twice before underestimating us again." The alien bowed slightly. "Indeed, you have changed perceptions. Forever." As Eli walked through the hall, other aliens approached to shake hands, offer congratulations, and ask questions. Some were still nervous, still cautious, but the admiration in their eyes was undeniable. He had done more than win an auction. He had shown that humans could think differently, adapt quickly, and succeed where others failed. Finally, as the sun began to set over the distant glass walls of the auction hall, Eli stepped outside. His ship rested quietly on the landing platform, engines humming softly. The sky outside was filled with stars, planets, and distant asteroid belts. He took a deep breath. This victory was not just for him. It was a demonstration of human capability, a lesson to the galaxy that humans could not be underestimated. A single ship, a single human had turned mockery into legend, and the story would be told for years to come. Eli smiled, knowing this was only the beginning. Humans were underestimated far too often, but every time the galaxy would learn the same lesson. Humans think differently. Humans adapt, and humans succeed. The legends of the human ship would inspire generations. Young engineers, pilots, and inventors would study the movements, the adaptive systems, and the clever designs. Across countless systems, humans would be respected not just for their technology, but for their ingenuity, courage, and determination. And somewhere deep inside, Eli felt a quiet satisfaction. He had not only proven his ship's worth, he had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of. As the first stars of evening lit the sky, the human ship hummed softly, its quiet power a reminder that true strength was not always in size, weaponry, or flash. It was in intelligence, adaptability, and creativity. The galaxy would remember that day, the day a human turned a mocked vessel into a legend. The day the laughter ended and respect began, and Eli knew deep down that humanity's story in the stars was only beginning.